we have intense buyer demand, we have low supply, and we have rapidly increasing prices. Even now, we have year-over-year price appreciation of double digits, even in the Chicago market. If you go back 2 years, in many areas, prices are up over 20%. So Jamie Dimon, head of JP Morgan Chase, just did an interview where he said he does think the country is in a little bit of a housing bubble. I want to ask you guys, do you agree with Jamie Dimon? And Thad, let's start with you.
No, I don't. And I think that it's easy to be a pessimist, right? Pessimists sound incredibly interesting and there's a lot to talk about. And eventually the pessimist will be right. But oftentimes the bears take a long time to be right and they're waiting for markets to cool off. I also think it's very difficult to judge the entire United States of America in one random sentence that it's heating up everywhere. For instance, in Chicago for the last 10 years, we've been incredibly undervalued. In areas like Austin, Texas, in Nashville, we have enormous job growth and population growth. How can you predict that you're going to have a pricing cool-off unless you're expecting interest rates to really skyrocket? And I don't think anybody is. I don't think the country can afford that.
Mike, what about you? Housing bubble, yes or no?
I really don't believe so. Now, if Elon Musk was sending out tweets about the housing market, I might be a little more concerned. But seriously, if you look at the fundamentals of the market, if we look back at 2008, 9, 10, the last correction we had, our market was overbuilt. It was over-leveraged and it was frankly overpriced. And we don't have any of those factors in the marketplace right now. We are a substantially underbuilt market nationally. Houses and home equity are at an all-time high. So we don't have the dynamics that we had before that would create a housing bubble. And it certainly doesn't feel like homes are overpriced. If you look in the Chicagoland marketplace, we are a value and houses are selling for less than replacement cost. And we need more housing. So it's hard to imagine that housing prices are going to retract substantially. I mean, we always have small cycles, but we feel like we're, if anything, just catching up with where we needed to get to from the past. I'm sure there are markets in the U.S. that are that maybe are a little overheated, and you might see some price retraction. But particularly in the markets that we're in, we're feeling like they're very solid, especially because the market fundamentals are so much better than they were before.
Sure, and I heard you make an interesting comment about the types of homes that people are buying and how that relates to rising prices. Can you touch on that?
There was a big report out about the average price of a home in the United States is at like an all-time high. But it's partially because, think about it. So what did people do in the pandemic? They looked for housing. Do you know anyone that looked to downsize in the pandemic? Everyone was thinking, I need more space. My house is more important to me, the space I live in. So I think what you're seeing is a lot of houses, more expensive, larger homes that maybe weren't selling as quickly, are now much more popular and are selling much quicker. The type of housing is driving up the average price as much as everything else. If you look back to the last bust, average housing price came down because there were a ton of foreclosures and REO sales that were selling at very, very low prices. We don't have that in the market now. So again, you can spin the numbers a variety of different ways if you want to tell a gloom and doom type story, but to us, people that are in the market every day, the fundamentals of the market and the structure of the market feels very, very solid. And I feel like there's still upside, particularly in the Chicagoland market where, again, we're a value nationally. We've seen some price escalation, but not massive. And if anything else, if you look in the suburban markets, the housing prices in the suburbs were depressed for a decade. Houses were still selling for less than they sold for 10, 12 years ago. So again, you have that sort of catching up where people are all of a sudden saying, okay, if I were to build this house, it's going to cost me X more. This is still a really good value. So we feel really good about where the market is right now.